Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maryam, and I'm so excited. I keep telling people, I think I may need to change my show's name from Television to I'm so excited.
I like that.
Because every time I come on the show, I notice that I say that because I'm always blessed to have fantastic guests on the show.
Thank you.
You know, and I have you. And
Thank you very much for thinking of me and having me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming because we go back and who am I talking to? I'm talking to and about Anton Wheeler.
Hello, everybody.
Brother Anton Wheeler.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, but before I go into that, I just want to say to the people that we are broadcasting from the Akaraba Gallery here in the West Ward.
Yes, ma'am.
She blessed us to come in here, you know, and take the show and everything. So I'm very thankful to her for allowing us to do this.
Yes.
And plus, I just wrote my first book. It's called Broken Spirit, Let It Go So You Can Grow. It's about my 17 years experience working behind the walls and working with some fantastic brothers and sisters. And it's also dealing with the educational system as well because, you know, you and I were on the school board.
That's right.
Newark school board members, and both of us were school board presidents.
That's right. Yes.
You know, so
we understand.
So we understand, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to have you on, because we really haven't talked to each other since, because we both ran for council, people.
Right. So it's been a while. Maybe about 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen each other in the past,
Right,
but
exactly.
to really have a conversation and catch up, especially after our transitions and our growth. No, we haven't.
Exactly.
I'm glad you thought of me for the
Oh no, I always think about you because I remember the barbershop on 18th Avenue. Okay.
That's right.
Campaign
Few times. That's bad. I had a few.
So,
you know me well.
And then here's the other thing. People think that just because we ran against each other, we really didn't run against each other. We were just doing what we thought we needed to do, and we always respected each other.
I think that when people forget that, you know, that the most important thing is to ground yourselves in sensibility and respect. I wasn't always like that. I had to grow to that. Especially when it got to around that time when we all ran that election. It was something that I had to mature to. Because when you're a young firebrand, you know, you think you're right, you think you know everything, and you go off of sheer emotion and compassion. And sometimes it's you don't have the wisdom of an elder to understand the strategy, you know, leads the day. So, you know, it's just like, you know, making a metamorphosis and doing what you've done to support our community and support the people in it. It was always unique, because I used to always say in past, I said, wow, sister, well, we were hell-bent on dealing with education together.
Yes.
And I had become a correction officer for 2 years. And then I went into education.
Right.
And then you went back fully to reentry and all those things and trying to help people. So I say, you know, that was God's way of saying to the universe that we were meant to be in each other's presence.
Yes.
And even if we just switch roles, it's all about what God has intended for us to be able to do that. And a lot of that comes from, you know, making healthy choices about life. Well, that's what I had to do in order to change my life. I mean, you remember, sister, I was taking 2 shots of insulin a day, 45 cc's of Lantus in the morning, 45 cc's of Lantus at night. I was taking 2 pills, an Avandia pill in the morning and an Avandia, so I had type 1 and type 2 diabetes.
Well, see, that was one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on in addition to that, because like I said, you have transformed yourself, you know, over the years. I mean, first of all, you like your Black Moses.
I get that a lot, but I thank you. I'm hard-headed like Moses too.
Yes,
Moses is hard-headed.
That's like he was.
Very hard-headed.
But then, you know, when we talk about our health is our wealth.
Yes.
And when you were telling some of the things that I listened to you on Facebook about, I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, so I said, I know that if you come on, you're going to be able to help a lot of people, because a lot of us are going through what you went through.
Yeah, I think what happens though is there has to come a time and a place within yourself, spiritually and mentally, where you just sit down and you surrender. It can't be about everything. It may not be about everything, but particularly through phases in your life, it has to be about something. And I was just miserable. I was heavy. I was a gravy biscuit away from dying. Because I was just miserable and unhappy with myself. Because
so were you eating your pain?
I was eating my pain, drinking my pain,
Okay.
not sleeping properly. Therefore, you don't get proper rest. Your body can't get this proper functionality going on.
Right.
So it was like self-destruction. When my mother died, I lost my mom.
Right.
Because my mother was you talk about an anvil and an anchor and a rock. I mean, I would put my mother up against anybody's.
Right.
So it was just where do you go from here? And I had to start working on a transition. I had children. I love them. Wife. I love them.
Right.
I all those things. That makes me who I am.
Right.
I had to address at that time. And one of the things that I always wanted was grandkids. I wanted grandkids, and I wanted to be able to live. Start doing calisthenics, start doing push-ups based off, jailhouse workout. Start doing your workout and get things on. From there, for me though, what had happened was I had to train myself. Now, because I had diabetes, I couldn't get a surgery or anything like that. I was taking blood thinners. I was taking a cholesterol pill. So, this was really about me getting with myself and me asking God to help deliver me from whatever mental anguish I was going through that would cause it to manifest itself with me being obese.
Right.
So we say we want to start with our physical health, but you have to check your when they say do a gut check,
Yes.
that means you have to check your spirit, your mental health,
Your
because
mental health.
that is probably the most underdiagnosed issue in our community that contributes to a lot of things that we suffer from. Mental health is like a common cold. Everybody
Can I
deals
ask you
with
a
it.
question because you were a correctional officer, and
Yes.
now being a correctional officer, didn't you see that there were a lot of brothers and sisters inside who had mental health issues that they were not addressing?
There were a great many. I think we know what that goes back to, sister.
Yeah.
You wrote your book, you've touched on it a little bit back when Reagan did what he did during the
Right.
Reagan era, and he, instead of putting people in mental health institutions that needed mental health care, he put them in prison.
Right.
Because it was about the population and doing those things. So what we have to do also as families, we have to remember our people on the inside, workers and
Right.
individuals and community activists such as yourself,
Right.
need to remind families that they have to fight, and just because they go inside, the fight doesn't stop. They have rights. They have rights to nutrition. They have rights to exercise. They have rights to different things. And I think a lot of that is because in our community, our mental anguish is compounded. The nutritional value of, even, being an educator and watching kids go to the store early in the morning.
Yes.
There are no quality snacks or meals that you're getting to a kid early in the morning and then you're going to send them to school. That doesn't work. So, we have to be conscious and we have to be spiritually conscious. It's amazing that you say that, because when I was big like that, my spirits were broken. No matter how, I looked on the outside to everybody, no matter if I smiled, no matter what it was, my spirit was broken.
Right.
And we have a lot of broken spirits here. And I mean, we can talk about it in the prison system as well, but we have to look at our academic and educational system.
You're so right.
We have to.
Muhammad talked about that.
It is a reason why we live in a society where they use the test scores of 3rd and 4th graders to determine whether or not they're going to build schools and jails. So we have to, wake up and really understand that there needs to be a conscious upliftment of spiritual values. Nobody's perfect. We all fall short. But I think in so much as that's the fight, and that will help us deal with our physical well-being, our mental well-being, is that when we project what the universe intends for us to be, not what we've been groomed by society or socially engineered to be.
Right.
So, if people used to ask me when I first started exercising, nobody believed it. People thought I had a surgery or whatever. I said, well, I know what I know.
Right.
When you're diabetic, you can't get cut. I'm fasting,
Right.
and I'm not going to get no surgery. So,
Right.
I'm leaving here with what God gave me.
Right.
So, it was a spiritual thing. I love the park. I love water. Because there were other things that I was going through that I had to acknowledge which was causing my physical appearance. You understand what I'm saying? So that was my time to commune with my Lord. That was my time to get it together. You know, that was my time to be selfish and ask for some things from him that I wanted that I didn't need anyone else to hear, just him.
Right.
So, you know, when you get into that, you know, and since, you know, since this transformation, you know, I've changed. You know, I had a person tell me once, I miss the fat you, but I never spoke to that person again. Because you really don't know me for you to say that if you understood who that fat me was.
Exactly.
And what it represents.
Exactly.
Are there a lot of things that I have to work on now that I'm working on? Yeah, but I'm 44 years old. I have time until the law says I don't.
Right.
You know, and you know, it is a very important dynamic that, you know, people such as yourself continue these dialogues and share these stories, because you're right, Sister Bay, you never know what can be said by anyone that is going to be that spark to help them.
Exactly.
I don't begrudge any of our sisters, brothers and sisters that are having, you know, physical challenges with regards to their weight and things of that nature. What I want to say to all the brothers and sisters out there is, no matter what you thought you saw when you saw Anton Wheeler, when he was there, he was not happy with himself.
Right.
He didn't love himself. You know, he thought living in excess and wilding and being stupid and not being disciplined was loving himself, but that was because he was running from himself.
Wow.
And you can't run from yourself if you want to change. It's like I heard you say, you know, no matter where you go, if you got the same energy, you take it with you. My mom used to say the same thing. You know, Anton, if you run down south, you run into Georgia, if you're taking you with you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You know, I had a friend who always tells a joke. He said he was talking to his friend. He said, his friend said to him, man, I gotta stop drinking, I'm having problems. He said, he showed his friend 3 months later, he said, hey man, how's those problems? He was like, I still got them. He said, well, you stopped drinking? He said, yeah. He said, he wasn't drinking. Right. So it's you. You have to internalize that, because even if you sit a vice down, right, and you don't use it anymore, well, you discipline yourself not to use it anymore, but have you discipline yourself to change that attitude that came with that when you used to use it?
Yes.
And I think that people forget that.
Yes.
You know, and not to belittle or begrudge anyone. You know, old Dauphin habits, even if you ever recover.
Yes.
So you know, because it's an attitude, it becomes a part of you.
It is, and I'm so glad that you said that, because when I first started working in the system, I was working at Kentuck as an appointment counselor. And the brothers and sisters who were coming home from prison, they had to go home with a job. With me, a lot of them didn't go home with a job because they didn't go home because they didn't have the right attitude.
That's right.
I think it's like, wait a minute. You can disrespect me, you know, this is my job.
Right.
But I can't send you to an employer with that attitude.
Yeah.
So attitude is everything.
Yes, it is.
And it deals with all aspects of our life.
Of our life. And that's because, sister, what it is we don't take time to smell the roses.
Right.
We don't take time to pay attention to the flowers. We don't take time to appreciate the breeze.
Yes.
We live in a society that is socially engineered us to believe that everything has to be on the go. Everything has to be instantly gratifying. And that's not the case. Culturally, everything is about time. You know, even for me to get to this point took time.
Yes.
And then what I had to deal with also is, for me, the only people who were serious was my family and my friends that I was working out with, which was Larry and Steve. So when I went to go see family members, they wouldn't let me in their house because they didn't recognize me. So that was God saying something to me too.
Wow.
So you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
That God put a different face and covering on me in a different spirit. Now what I did with it after that, I'm still working on, you know, dealing with my blessings and things of that nature. However, when I went to relatives' houses or friends that I went to high school with and went to college with and rang the doorbell, and I normally, you know how you normally walk in, I get met with forearms at the door like, excuse me, it's Anton.
Right.
And they say I lost a whole person.